Today we're going to be taking a look at the newest addition to Hiya's line of Mountain Dew Baja Blast Monsterverse action figures with Energized Godzilla. And you may be saying to yourself, isn't that a ShinRobjira joke? Yeah, well, have you ever seen Rob and I in the same room at the same time?
Full disclosure, this review was made possible by Hiya Toys. Thank you, Hiya. Energized Crest Pro Enamel Health Toothpaste Smudge Godzilla over here will be standing over 7 inches tall, and now I'm not even going to get into articulation because this is now the 7th time I've talked about this particular figure with different paint. Yes, you heard that right. I now have 7 legendary Godzilla figures from Hiya Toys, and with the next one that they release of this particular design, I will now have more legendary Godzillas than I do movie monster series Hedoras. Oh yes, I know all about the battle version Burning Godzilla. It looks magnificent. I want to bite it. I want to eat it. It looks like a nice, freshly baked piece of pizza, but I digress. The material he's made out of this time does make movement a bit easier just because it's a tad bit softer, but essentially the wide array of movement you got from other releases, you're gonna get them here. This is very much not a release that I think people are going to be frothing at the mouth for, nor do I think it's entirely needed. But between this and the Playmates Energized Godzilla, you already know. This is the better one. The ghost of Baja Christmas past GOJI over here is definitely going to be an eye-catcher, that is for certain. While it might not 100% match what we saw in promo photos before the figure released in China, it's still got its own presence, I'd say. I positively love that Hiya were able to get this paint job down pat, and I absolutely love these dorsal fins. I'm thankful that we have Hiya dropping multiple legendary Gojis at once because we get to see them just mixed up with all of these crazy colors. Yeah, I can understand how people feel about the presence of multitudes of repaints and everything. If it's not your speed, it's not your speed. No hate, all love. But for somebody like me who has multiple movie monster series Hedoras and just loves crazy repaints, this is absolutely in my wheelhouse. Godzilla does in fact have eyes, but they will not be painted to reflect as such, which is fine by me, honestly. One of my favorite little paint applications on this figure is actually going to be in his teeny tiny mouth. Away, rapscallion! I love that it's going to have that white paint in there, and it almost comes off as silver, and I especially love that it's very present on Godzilla's tongue. It's even present on the bottom of his tongue too, the whole thing. Even on the roof of the mouth too. It's a light little inclusion, but it's one that I very much enjoy. And that white paint, whatever it might be, will actually be present in all of Godzilla's neck pieces as well. Not to mention the back of the head proper. Now, save for the paint, we are going to have another new inclusion. That being that this time, Hiya has given us fists. It's taken quite a long time, but I'm glad to see it. Yes, as if the figure wasn't eye-catching enough, we now have fists. A little bit of a seamage going on there, but nothing disgusting or anything like that. These actually look quite cool, and the fists can allow him to dual-wield weaponry of your choice. Maybe not all, but yeah. Can we give Godzilla a gun? Other than that fun, likely unintentional inclusion, you're really not going to get much else from this figure besides paint. Don't get me wrong, it's a lovely paint job. I have grown to genuinely love it. It reminds me of my toothpaste a bit. It's more Bahajian, but, you know. Oh, I am immediately regretting this. Where's my cup? Ugh. Again, I really love the look of the dorsal fins. I'm glad they retain that look as we move into the tail. Although some dorsal fins were a little chipped right out of the box. This scarily reminds me of NECA's Burning Godzilla from Godzilla King of the Monsters. But thankfully, the paint isn't peeling off. It looks great, and I haven't seen any paint chips flying about anywhere. Finally! Hands on the hips, Goji. And before I forget, because I already did once, in between these blues and darker grays, we will actually get some white paint in there ever so often. It does seem to be skittered about on the figure at random areas, so I am a bit curious if this was an intentional inclusion or not. But seeing how white paint or silver paint is present on the inside of the mouth, and there's a form of it on the dorsal fins, I'm gonna have to go with it was probably intentional. And for anybody wondering, here are what the standard hands look like. I'm never going to put these back on because the fists just look so cool, and that's probably the pose he's gonna be striking on the shelf. Yeah, the hands look just fine. It's just I have a bunch of Godzillas with hands like these now, so fists, absolutely welcomed. I'm going to give Energized Bahajian Mountain Dew Voltage Godzilla over here a solid star in terms of paint and detail. Plus, with a paint job like these, you can see all those details even better. Fantastic! Big love outs to Hiya, absolutely. And yes, again, it might not be what it was exactly in the promo photos, but this is a case where I kinda don't mind. Now let's cut to some size comparisons and other stuff, and then we can meet right back here for the finale. Chokugan, movie, king-sized, not king series figure, HG, SH Monster Arts, NECA, Playmates, Mega Movie Monster Series, Hiya. And here is the box for Energized Goji. It's a cool friggin' box, I will say that. The weather behind him, the airplanes, the whole 9 yards. It's a cool box. It's definitely eye-catching. Got a lot of blue going on there. But enough about that. Let's continue on. Golly gee, wasn't that fun. Now, as you all know, this guy's dorsal fins, they're looking a little on the small side. And in comparison, I completely see and understand where people are coming from. Granted, I don't think mine are as small and nubbish as I've seen other people's, but yeah, I can definitely see the difference. But thankfully, we have an answer now. Thanks to, in part, Harold from Figure Mania Show and Kaiju Canuck, since Kaiju Canuck had the explanation posted up in his comment section. Seems like it was a production thing. Shrinkage, heat, the whole 9 yards. As to whether Hiya will be doing something about this in the future, I'm sure they will correct it. But to be completely honest, I really don't think this is all that offensive. Really? In fact, I think the pre-evolved Godzilla's dorsal fins are much nubbier. Like, holy moly. But ayo, I am not knocking anybody who's upset about this. If this is going to deter you away, more power to you. Sure money. You choose how to spend it. Anyway, let's take a look at that UV light, shall we? No. And here it is. Now, unfortunately, it's really not coming up on my camera, which really sucks. I might have to use this camera. Alright, hold on to your butts. There we go. You guys can see that now, right? The light I'm using on this guy is definitely bigger than the light that I normally use on figures, this guy over here. So light wattage, light bulb wattage, the whole 9 yards might be playing into the effect coming up a bit better than others. I can't say for certain, but look at this. Just look at this. Yeah, that blue color really can creep out from certain parts of the figure really nicely, especially over here on the tits. But for everybody who doesn't like this kind of thing, you would just rather the figure look like this without having to buy a light, I feel ya. I'm on your side with that one. This is a very consequential kind of a gimmick. It's a fun one for those who, you know, actually have a UV light or UV lighting in general. But I have seen more than a few people talking about if this thing even has it, and it absolutely does. I mean, you're seeing it right here. And yes, wouldn't you know it, the figure is fully translucent. We'll take a closer look at that in a bit. I just want to do a couple more shots, but this does look exceptionally cool. Like, exceptionally cool. Knowing that Hiya Toys is going to be experimenting with light-up features with that big 2019 Godzilla they're sporting, I'm very curious to see how that's going to translate versus just needing a particular light for particular paint. I'm gonna give this little paint gimmick going on here a solid star because it does look fantastic. I do kind of wish it just always looked like this, though. But at this point, who knows what Hiya is going to unveil next? Alrighty, now with with the help of Sergeant McClicky-Light, I can show you. Damn. Oh, the Bahajian spirit is strong with this guy, all the way through to his head. This just looks awesome. I'm still personally going to champion less paint on translucent figures from Hiya. That, I think, would be really cool. I mean, I might be the only person in the market for that, but I want it. I can't help it. Yes, everything on this figure is going to be massively translucent, like Emerald Titan Mothra was. Just look at those Gucci green grippers, or blue, whatever. I really do love just how effortlessly light travels through this figure, and it illuminates all those details. Whoosh! Ah, look at that. Yeah! The dorsal fins specifically, just... whew, man. I think we can end this little love fest off at the tail over here. Again, I would like to see a figure that looks like this. More of the base material, less of the paint, maybe like a nice little dry brushing here and there. But seeing something like this, without having to turn the lights off or shine light through it, I want to see something like that. And yes, the alternate hands will also be see-through and very cool looking. GOJI head flashlight. GOJI head flashlight. It's what the world needs. I need GOJI head flashlight. The world needs him. And that's about it for Hiya Toys Exquisite Basic Energized Godzilla. Love the fists, love the paint. Again, not exactly what we saw with promo photos, but cool enough. I understand where people are coming from and not being all that impressed about this thing. And yeah, you don't need to buy it. You don't need to like it. Anybody that says you need to like it, just stay away from them because they sucks. I've been ShinRobjira. Do so hope you all enjoyed. Remember to subscribe to my second channel, Kaiju Canuck, where I'm lying to all of you. And I will see you all next week with a review of the Ultra Action Kanegan and the SH Monster Arts Frozen Shin Godzilla. Oh boy. Peace. I need GOJI head...